Not sure if you've noticed, but the 2026 Olympics from Milan have started. And tomorrow, U.S. Olympic hockey begins again. What I'd like to do today is go over one of my favorite things besides hockey: uniforms, jerseys, whatever you want to call them. I'm going to rank the last 10 Olympic uniforms that the Americans have worn to the Olympics. Please leave a like on the video. Guess in the comments which ones you think I'm going to put on. This might be a hint what we're going to see. Otherwise, let's get to it. All right. Coming in at number 10. Unfortunately, something that happens when Nike gets involved, or Adidas, or other big companies, especially lately in the last 20 years, when they get involved making uniforms for these tournaments, they come up with templates. And templates end up becoming something that half the teams in the tournament, if not more, wear. And it looks bad. So 2018 USA's jerseys come in dead last, at least for this top 10. I'm only going back to the last 10 Olympics, and we'll get into an interesting story about that once I get to 1992. But 2018, they had 3 jerseys, very bland. They had these weird featherish designs on the sleeves. Not sure what they were going for. Didn't work for me. They didn't do well in the tournament either. So 2014 is another one that doesn't really work for me. The colors are all right, I guess. The ultra dark navy blue that America usually goes with is okay because it matches the blue from the flag, but I do like it to have a slightly lighter tint. Otherwise, the shield here is bizarre. I don't know if they were going for like a 1940s Captain America thing, and the little stars on the shoulders are just like, you kind of have to squint to make them out. Not really my best choice here. Coming in at number 8, we have the 2022 uniforms. Now these, again, are bland. I don't know if this was a year that they had a template of uniforms or not, but this seems like something that Nike came up with in an afternoon. They didn't put any thought into them. The only reason I'm actually ranking them this far from the bottom, which is 3 from the bottom, is because they have a futuristic, almost space age type font for USA. So I'll give them credit for that. It's not the silly shield we saw in the previous uniforms. And they do have 3 versions here. The navy blue is a little lighter, and then they do have a royal blue version, which I thought was kind of nice. The white is just, it's all right. Almost looks like a practice jersey. So, coming in at number 7, we have the 2010 uniforms. Now these I can rate in 3 different ways. The white uniform, horrible. The dark standard uniform, all right, if a little plain, but I do kind of like the USA across the chest. And then the third jersey, which they started getting into third jerseys around this time, which is silly for an Olympics. It's like you're barely going to have enough games to play both, to wear 2 jerseys, let alone 3. So I did like the third jersey. It was a callback to the 1980s and 1960s uniforms they wore. It's a classic look. It does always kind of look like the Rangers uniforms to me, which is, not great. That's why I do like the darker shade of blue, which differentiates USA from the New York Rangers. But other than that, I didn't hate 2010. Coming in at number 6, we have the uniforms from 1992. These uniforms are the second iteration of the USA with the flag, much similar to the one I'm wearing now. I don't know if you can't see it. I'll show you a picture. But anyway, these uniforms are interesting. They're made by CCM and TAC. It's a classic, combination. They had kind of like a see-through porthole mesh kind of thing going on. They almost look chintzy, but it's got an old school feel to them, so I kind of like them. It's old school mixed with new school right before things switched over to being made by big companies. It's interesting. Out of these 10 uniforms, they were made by 3 companies. Nike made 8 of them. Reebok made 1, and CCM Tax made another. So anyway, number 5. The 2006 uniforms. Now, the 2006 uniforms, at first, I enjoy. I like their plainness. I like that it has the USA focused with not much else around it. There's not a lot of crazy piping or anything. The socks have an interesting feel, and a different look to them. But then you look and you see that a lot of the other teams in the same tournament had this same template, and that takes it away for me. So originally I had this rated a lot higher, but because of the template issue, I have to rate it no higher than 5th. Coming in at 4th, we have the 2026 uniforms from this year. I think they did a pretty damn good job this year. I actually enjoy them. Again, it's unfortunate because of going with the lighter royal blue. They look like the Rangers uniforms, so it doesn't really differentiate, but it is a nice throwback to the 1980s look. I'm excited to see both. I hope to see the white jersey more than the blue, just because, again, the blue is way too bright for me. But still pretty sweet job overall. Coming in at number 3, we have my favorites from when I was a kid, and I was on the fence on where to rate these. The 1998 uniforms from the Nagano Olympics. Now, that Olympics was a disaster. The U.S. lasted 3 games. They won 1, lost 2. They trashed a hotel on their way out. It wasn't a good look. Especially after in 1996, they won the World Cup of Hockey, so they were coming in feeling pretty good about themselves. So they got their asses kicked. But the uniforms are pretty sweet. What I hold against these uniforms are the random silver parts they have on it and the fact that they put the USA inside a circle. But I do love the white with the dark shoulders. We didn't even get to see their dark uniform because they only lasted the 3 games and didn't wear it for any of them. So we never got to see that uniform in action. I guess the women wore it because they won the gold that year. Way to go. But I didn't get to see it myself. I didn't really watch them. The games were on at like 2 a.m. So that's my feelings on 1998. So, all right, coming into the top 2, we have, from 1994, the Reebok uniforms. Now, these are a bizarre looking set of uniforms. I love them, though. I love the shoulder patches that go, or not the shoulder patch, but the coloring that goes all the way down the arm, and it has kind of an angulation to it. I could do without the huge Reebok logos on the shoulders, but you have to think back at the time, that's how things were starting to be. Reebok, when they had the U.S. Olympic logo or when they were sponsoring the Dream Team, half of the jacket was a Reebok logo. So this was very standard for the time. The USA takes a prominent space right on the middle. The away jerseys, even though it has the darker or the more royal blue, which I don't like, it doesn't look as bad because of the white all the way down the shoulders. So I think this is overall a pretty awesome uniform that gets kind of forgotten. Yeah, so this was 94. This was the last year that non-professionals were in the Olympics. We were sending amateurs up until this point. And then in 1998, we started sending NHLers to compete with these men from around the world. There's pluses and minuses for that. But just stating a fact, this was the last one. It's also interesting because I mentioned earlier a 1992 Olympics, and now there's 1994. Well, from 1924 through 1992, the Winter and Summer Olympics took place the exact same year. So they would be sharing a year, and then there was 3 years in between, and then an Olympics year. In 86, they voted, and they said, we have to separate these. We'll put them every 2 years, or every 4 years for each, but there will be a year gap between them. So 92 was the last year that the Summer and Winter Olympics shared the same year, and then the Winter Olympics had the quick turnaround for 94. So that's why there are 2 Olympics within 2 years, which is always kind of interesting to think about. I was doing the math when I started this. I said, this doesn't add up, and that's why. So, all right. If you didn't do process of elimination, you could figure it out by now. My favorite United States of America Olympic hockey uniforms from the last 10 Olympics. 2002, Salt Lake City, when they actually came in silver, had a great run. It was a veteran team, Chris Chelios, Tony Amonte, Bill Guerin. You had a lot of great guys on that team. The uniforms were phenomenal. They took what they did in 1998 and they improved upon it. They removed all of the silver. They got rid of the circle around USA, and they added some piping on the shoulders like this to make them stand out a little bit. I think that this is it has almost features from a bunch of different uniforms put together, and I think this is probably the best that they've looked in recent memory. Plus, it's one of their most recent successes. I mean, getting silver was pretty badass. They do not medal that often, unfortunately. So, all right, so what were your favorite uniforms from these Olympics, from the last 10 Olympics, from any Olympics? If you enjoyed the video, let me know. I could also do a set on Canada, on Finland. I don't have as much information on them. Trying to find some pictures of these earlier Olympics were tough. But let me know, and I'm willing to try, because I love doing this stuff. So please leave a like on the video. This was Alex from Sandro Says. Enjoy the Olympics, and I will see you next time. Take care.